your fault. I don't know.
Who the f*** was running the V6?
Your traffic coming in very low.
I'm driving to the casino.
Welcome back to Advocacy, Alchemy with Professor Ross. Today we have a good one, guys. Today we're diving into a case out of West Memphis, Arkansas. Good old home, where we have a man named Deandre Brown who turned a late night casino trip into a chaotic high-speed chase, a physical confrontation, and ultimately a felony arrest. We'll walk through the footage, break down the law, and talk about the critical moments where choices made everything worse. With that, let's jump in.
Get your hands up! No, you're running! That's not how it works! Hands up! You got me walking. Hands up now. Hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! I'm not telling you this. You've been driving 130 miles an hour. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. Keep your hands up.
I just had my hand out the window.
I don't care.
Just ask me that.
I don't care.
What the fuck do you think I was working? It's crazy. You just did that for no reason. You know you did. That's why you're being quiet.
Don't run.
Why the fuck would I run in a V6?
It's your fault. I don't know.
Who the fuck was running the V6?
Your traffic coming in very low.
I'm driving to the casino. What the fuck is wrong with you?
We got a unit in pursuit. I'm on my handheld. They don't pick up when I'm driving fast.
I swear to God.
I work for the state
I swear
police.
to God, my dad is the fucking government. My daddy worked with the fucking government. I swear to God.
Call them.
That's on my life.
Call them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Keep your hands up. Are you gonna keep your hands up? Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up.
I just hit my fucking car.
Keep your hands up.
You just hit my fucking car.
Don't run. He's just screaming. Hands up. Hands up. Get your hands up. I've told you this over and over.
My hand's been off.
No, they have not.
Hey,
Climb out.
bro.
Climb out.
Just hit my car.
Climb out.
Come out of the car. I will.
Come out of the car.
I'm just being not in the car.
Now, are you fixing to get tased?
One. She already got
You're fixing to get tased. Get out of the car.
How?
Climb out.
How?
Climb out.
You know
Now.
what? I got
Climb out.
Tennessee governor will be on your ass.
I don't work for Tennessee.
Get what?
Come on.
Tennessee governor will be on your ass.
Come on.
I swear to God.
27 TDI warrant.
You're gonna get
40
tased.
West
Show
Middle
me where
Missouri.
you're
Lay down.
Show me where
MLK, I don't know the exact location.
Get over here and
He's
lay down.
kind of quiet on the radio.
Be a man. Thank you.
Lay down.
Thank you for being a man.
Lay down.
Thank you for being a man.
Now. Lay down. Lay down.
Thank you. Can I sit?
Lay
Can
down.
I do myself? I'm gonna lay down. I'm not
Stop resisting. Do what you're told. Roll over.
He just said he's got a taser deployment. I don't know where he's at. He's somewhere over there. Y'all can get out with him. He needs units.
You know what? I'm disappointed.
Do what you're told.
I'm a grown-ass man. I'm disappointed. You know I haven't done nothing. I'm a grown-ass man.
You're passing cars over the shoulder and running.
Did I not stop? I waved my hand out. And
I don't care that you waved your hand out.
You see how you was trying to hit me?
Yeah, I did. You're not gonna run.
That's why I never ran.
Roll over.
Which way you want me to run? What else you want me to do?
Put your leg underneath this.
This leg. Like this?
Yep. Get up.
You literally let them do well. Let me quiet. That is great.
Listen.
I signaled out my car, told you I was finna pull over. You hit my car.
I want you past
I promise you, I don't have to pay for this. I swear to God, my daddy worked with the government.
I don't care who your daddy
That's on
works
my life. You hit my car without for no reason. I signaled out the car that I was stopping.
Hey, I appreciate you passing all the cars on the shoulder.
Get back away from here. Get back away from here.
Yes, sir. I got passed by him. Yeah, they're driving like maniacs. And I have a camera on the truck. I'm going to get your information, and I'm going out of town. And I watched you guys take him out and put him down. You play. Well, we got it all on video, but let me get your information. We'll get you out of here. Hey, Steve.
I promise. I'm not no angry black man. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I'm telling you. Who is it? Hey, sorry, get out the road. It's okay. Hey, sorry, listen to me. 901-387-8552. Yeah, I'm cool, sir. What is you?
Yes.
Listen. Listen. Oh, no, I got you. All I'm saying is, sir, I honestly...
Just because you put your
Yes,
hand
sir,
out
yes,
the
sir.
window and point,
Yes, sir.
after you pass these cars on the shoulder,
Right,
go
sir.
crazy, running
Yes, sir.
125, 30 miles an hour. So,
Somebody walk
sidetrack. Put feet in.
Okay. Look, just tell him no disrespect all this out. All the thing I was telling him, I was signaling to get over. That's it. He didn't have to hit my car. That's all I'm saying.
Now, that video is fairly short and straightforward. We saw officers' commands during the stops that weren't necessarily obeyed. We saw Deandre arguing from inside the car and making bizarre statements about who his dad was. And I think his dad works in Tennessee. Notice that he was stopped in West Memphis, Arkansas, and not Memphis, Tennessee. You had the tactical vehicle intervention, that's the pit maneuver. You had a taser that was deployed, and then you had Deandre's inconsistent explanations afterward, talking about waving his hands out the window and things of that nature. He was charged with several offenses like speeding, driving while intoxicated, refusal to submit to a chemical test, fleeing in a vehicle, reckless driving, resisting arrest. So it's a plethora of charges that came out of this one stop. Let's jump into the law. Looking at the laws specific to this interaction, first we have driving while intoxicated, or DWI. This is covered under the Arkansas Code annotated 5-65-103. In Arkansas, it's illegal to operate a vehicle while you're intoxicated by alcohol, drugs, or any other intoxicating substances. Importantly, you don't have to blow over a specific blood alcohol number. If officers observe signs of impairment, you can be charged. Even in a first offense situation, a DWI can warrant up to 1 year in jail, a fine of up to $1,000, and a 6 months driver's license suspension. Next, we have refusal to submit to a chemical test. All right, this is the implied consent law in Arkansas. All right, this is found at the Arkansas Code, annotated section 5-65-205. When you drive in Arkansas, you automatically give implied consent to take a breath, blood, or urine test if you're arrested for DWI. If you refuse, like Deandre did here, your license can be suspended for 6 months, and that's even before you appear in court. And notice that this refusal can also stack penalties on the other charges he received on the same evening. All right, next let's move on to fleeing in the vehicle. This is a serious felony in Arkansas. This is found at 5-54-125D2. And this law makes it a felony to willfully flee police in a car, especially in a reckless or dangerous way. Here, Deandre is weaving across 3 lanes, at times going up to 130 miles per hour. That clearly fits within fleeing in a vehicle. This charge alone can carry up to 6 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. This is a Class D felony in Arkansas. Next, you have reckless driving. This is found at 27-50-308. And that law covers operating a vehicle with a willful or wanton disregard for the safety of others. And that means like passing that big semi-truck on the shoulder at highway speeds. And in Arkansas, you can go up to 75 miles per hour. So he was going in excess of highway speeds. This penalty includes a fine of up to $500 and up to 90 days in jail. Next, we have speeding. This is covered under 27-51-201, and that's simply driving above the posted speed limit or too fast for the current road conditions. This carries a fine of up to $500. Now here, he was going well in excess of the speed limit of 75 miles per hour. All right, next we have resisting arrest. This is found at 5-54-103, and this happens when someone uses physical resistance or threats to prevent an officer from making a lawful arrest. All right, here there was a moment where we couldn't see on the camera where he was tased, and I'm talking about Deandre. He was tased, and the officer says in his report that while he was trying to put cuffs on him and arrest him, he pushed his hand away. Resisting arrest is a Class A misdemeanor, and it's punishable up to 1 year in jail, a fine of up to $2,500. All right, our last charge is assault in the 3rd degree. This is found at 5-13-207. This charge applies when someone intentionally causes offensive physical contact or creates a substantial risk of injury. Once again, this is all about resisting arrest, him striking the officer's arm that fulfills assault. And it doesn't matter that it wasn't a full punch. This is a Class C misdemeanor, and it carries penalties up to 30 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. All right, so with that, let's move into our evidentiary standards. I think here, in this case, it's fairly clear what happened and why these charges came up. Once I did some further research, I see that his felony case went away. It was no pros, and his district court, which means traffic court case, is still pending until May 20th of 2025. All right, with that, let's move into our evidentiary standards. Okay, let's move through our 6 levels of proof. These are what we call the evidentiary standards, and we deal with them daily. And these standards are important because they determine how much evidence is required in order to take action, whether it be to be successful at trial or to make an arrest. Let's begin at the bottom of this list. We'll start with mere suspicion. This is a gut feeling that something is just not right. It's not enough to make a stop or arrest anyone, but it's a start for officers to begin paying attention. A good example is when the officer first saw 2 cars speeding down the interstate, he likely had intuition that something more is going on. Next is reasonable suspicion. Here, an officer needs specific, articulable facts that something unlawful is happening, that criminal activity is afoot. This is a low standard, and it's not enough to arrest someone just yet, but it is enough to briefly stop and investigate. In this case, once the officer saw the Charger weaving through traffic going over 120 miles per hour, that easily gave him enough for reasonable suspicion in order to initiate a traffic stop. Next, we have probable cause, and this means there's enough facts and evidence to reasonably believe a crime has been committed and the suspect is involved. At this level, officers can make an arrest, and officers can go seek a warrant to seize property or a warrant to go make an arrest. Here, Deandre's reckless driving, his refusal to stop, and his behavior all gave probable cause to make an arrest. After that comes preponderance of the evidence. This is a standard that's used mostly in civil cases. It means something is more likely true than not being true. And what that means is that your evidence comes to just a little bit more than 50%. So the balance is weighed in your favor. A good example is if Deandre fights his license suspension for refusing the chemical test, the state only needs to show by the preponderance that he refused after being lawfully arrested. All right, next we have clear and convincing evidence. This is a higher bar, and it means that the evidence must be highly and substantially more likely to be true than to not be true. Now, this is a higher standard than preponderance, and it's still used in certain civil cases that require more proof. And it's also used in family law cases like custody battles. Here, if they wanted to impose some additional civil penalties based on Deandre's behavior, clear and convincing evidence could be required. So we're talking about at his license suspension administrative hearing, you would need clear and convincing evidence for him to either prove that his license shouldn't be suspended, and finally, beyond a reasonable doubt. This is the highest standard in American law, and is what's required for each criminal conviction. It means there's no reasonable doubt in your mind that the person committed the crime. In Deandre's case, to convict him of DWI, resisting arrest, or assault, the prosecution must prove every element beyond a reasonable doubt. Now with that, let's move into our next section, which is the jury perspective. Now let's put ourselves in the shoes of a juror. And that's simply because if this case ever went to a full jury trial, someone like you will be deciding this case. Now, as a juror, we have several big questions we need to deal with. First, did Deandre Brown knowingly try to flee from the police? Second, was his behavior reckless enough to put other drivers in danger? Third, when it was time for his arrest, did he deliberately resist? And with that resistance, did he strike the officer? Now let's change our focus and let's ask some questions about the police. First, was using the TVI maneuver justified in this circumstance? Second, was the amount of force used reasonable based on what Deandre did as far as the reckless driving and speeding? All right, now let's move to after the stop was complete and the behavior of Mr. Brown. There were claims that he had family members working for the government, refused to follow commands, and he also insists that he was trying to pull over. Now, as a juror, would you find his excuses believable, or was he just someone trying to talk his way out of the situation that he caused? If you were a driver on the highway that night and you saw someone passing semis on the shoulder and going in speeds well above 130 miles per hour, would you be concerned for your own safety? And because of those same concerns, would that change how you judge the officer's use of force at the end of the pursuit? Now remember, because at the end of the day, the juror doesn't look at these events in a vacuum. One of the first instructions is that the jurors don't have to throw away their experiences in life. They can use common sense. Here, this is about weighing behavior, credibility, and public safety all together. What would your decision be? Today's case should serve as a powerful reminder. When you mix high speeds, alcohol, and resistance to authority, the consequences don't just happen in the moment, they ripple out for months and even years. Deandre Brown's actions that night led to multiple serious charges. Now, even though the felony fleeing charge was dropped, he still faces a trial scheduled for May the 20th, 2025. That's nearly 19 months after the night he sped away from the police. And that's something important for us all to realize. The legal system moves very slowly. A decision you make in just seconds, to flee, to argue, to resist, can tie you up for years to come. It's not just about jail time or fines, it's about the stress, the uncertainty, and the permanent consequences that follow you long after the sirens have faded away. And that's why, if you ever see police lights in your rearview mirror, take notice, slow down, signal, and safely get over. Most of the time, the police aren't coming for you. And if they are, your best and only smart move is to cooperate calmly, not to panic, not to argue, and please don't run. Panic only makes things worse. Speeding off only makes the situation more dangerous for you and everyone around you. And it doesn't matter who you are, whether your dad works for the government or not. The law is going to catch up with you sooner or later. Stay smart, stay calm, and remember, one good decision early on can save you years of bad consequences. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and drop your thoughts below. Was this officer's use of force justified? And could Deandre Brown have changed everything simply by stopping when he first saw the lights? Remember, this is Advocacy Alchemy, and I am Professor Ross. I'll see you tomorrow. Everyone, please stay safe, and I'll see you. Have a good day.